Hey, you guys, my name is Mara Sullivan, and welcome to my fifth YouTube video. If you guys have not checked out my first four videos, go check those out. Basically, my first few videos have just been up telling you guys a little bit about myself, why I'm starting this channel. I'm starting YouTube before I'm ready. That's kind of been my theme with these first couple videos. Like, I'm still working a 9 to 5. I am exhausted. The day I'm recording this is my only day off this week. I'm trying to batch record, get as many of these videos up um, for you guys and for myself as much as possible. Me making videos is basically just my main goal with this is me getting comfortable talking in front of a camera because this is something that I've always been so scared to do, intimidated by. Um, but I'm at the place now where, like I said, it's something I've always wanted to do, and if I don't do it now, it's just not going to happen. And so welcome to my YouTube channel. As you know from the video, well, from the title, today's video is going to be about sharing with you guys 10 different ways and different things that have helped me to deal with grief and have helped me so much through this first year of grief. If you have not checked out my first couple videos, go watch those. My last one was actually a story time talking about the actual day that I lost my mom last year in November. It was the day before Thanksgiving, November 22nd, 2023, which does not even feel like a whole year, but it's been a year now, and that's so crazy. But in today's video, I will be sharing a few things that have really helped me with grief this past year, so these past few months, and hopefully it can help one of you guys who might be going through the same thing, or if you know someone who's going through the same thing, you can share these things with them in hopes that it will help them to get through whatever situation they might be dealing with. Grief is so hard. I am 25 years old, and my mom passed away super unexpectedly like I said, last November, the day before Thanksgiving. She had a heart attack. Go watch my story time on how that whole thing went down the day of. But it's been quite a year, or almost a year. I know it's October, so I'm still another month away from a full year. But it's been so crazy, you guys. But go check that out. And I'm really starting this channel. Like I said, my main goal with YouTube is for me to get comfortable speaking in front of a camera. I do have a podcast you guys can check out. It is called Thoughts by Mara on all platforms, but that is audio only. And so doing video, brand new to me, something like I said that I've always been super scared to do, intimidated by. But my main goal with doing videos is to get more comfortable speaking in front of a camera. And so thank you guys for being here. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe so that you do not miss any episodes. Epilodes? What? I'm so used to doing a podcast and I say episodes on there so that you don't miss any videos from me. The first thing that has really helped me with grief is talking it out. And obviously, like I said, I do have a podcast. And so being able to talk about what I'm going through, how I'm feeling, what I've been through, things that have helped me, has really helped. And obviously, traditional therapy is almost the same thing. Like, you're talking to someone about how you're feeling, about things that you're going through and trying to process. And so, doing my podcast, I'm going to get to journaling later, like more later on in the video, but um, doing the podcast especially has been something that has really been therapeutic for me, but also not just creating content online, but just talking to the people in my life about how I'm feeling. I know that grief, especially when you're going through anything hard, it can be super easy to shut down, but grief especially has a way of making us want to bottle everything up and hold everything in, and at some point that causes people to explode. And so I did not want to let myself get to that point where I held everything in, to the point where I'm shutting everyone out. And that's another thing, another reason why it is so important to talk about it. When I say talk about it, I mean share how you're feeling, share me telling the story about the day of and everything that was going on when my mom passed, and just reliving that day obviously is very hard for me, but talking about it does help. And so make sure that you're not shutting the people in your life out of your life, because a lot of people do want to support you, they just don't know how to. They don't want to overstep. A lot of people don't know what to say. And then when you do, it's really hard to share. And I understand this because a lot of times when you do share, sometimes people are not there for you, are not supportive for you in the way that you hope that they would be. And so it makes you not want to talk to anyone and just keep everything inside, like I said. But that's not always the healthiest. And so you really do have to find like your support system. You got to find the things that work for you, the people who can handle it. Not everyone has the capacity to handle the things that you might be going through. And so you got to find your people, know who to talk to and who not to talk to. Basically, is the most important thing because, like I said, everybody can't be supportive with you. Everyone doesn't have the capacity to show up for you. People don't know what to say. Sometimes people say the wrong thing. Grief, especially, is so like touch is such a touchy subject because everyone processes things differently. Everyone handles grief like differently. It's also very important to be self-aware, so that you know what you need and you're able to communicate that. Like I have people in my life, um, one of my friends, like a day that I was like really sad, and they were like, like I'm used to you being like so positive and the strong friend and that kind of stuff, and I'm like, I need you to let me be sad right now. It was Mother's Day. It was Mother's Day. And I'm like, I need you to let me be sad right now because this is how I'm feeling. And I'll be like on a different day. But today I need to be sad. And so, like, you have those moments and um, just be able to communicate that with the people in your life because you're not always going to feel like bubbly and happy and be able to put that smile on that, a lot of us got to fake it till we make it. And that's not always easy to do. And so, like, if you are having a day, tell the people in your life that you are having a day. Like, it's nothing wrong with that. And I'm really glad that, this day and age, mental health is so much more of a thing that's talked about. It's not really as taboo as it used to be, and just communicating with people in general and opening up about your feelings is a lot more common than it used to be and a lot easier than it used to be because people are more accepting and more understanding. And especially being black, feelings in our community are not always easily talked about. And it causes a lot of people a lot of stress to have to talk about things. But my number one piece of advice and number one thing that has helped me this year is to talk it out. Like I said, just make sure that you're talking to the right people. Because if you're just talking to anybody who can't help you or won't be there for you, it's not going to be that effective. But for me, like I said, I'm really grateful that I had a podcast. And so that's been really helpful for me as well. And like I said, you don't have to like put on a brave face all the time. I'm a Scorpio, you guys, and so how I'm feeling is gonna be on my face regardless. That's another reason why I've been scared. I've been scared to do video. I have a pretty good poker face like when I need to, but for the most part, how I'm feeling, you're gonna know just by looking at my face. And so it's not like super it's not a big deal for me to like not hide how I'm feeling because my face is gonna tell it anyway. Like it's just is what it is. My second one is to exercise. I know that the last thing you want to do when you're grieving and when you're going through things, when you're feeling depressed, when you feel like you can't get out of bed, is get up and move your body. I get it. It is so hard to do. Like, especially when all you want to do is be in bed as long as possible. I know because I've been there. Our bodies carry so much energy. And so, exercise in whatever form, for me, I love walking is the easiest thing for me to do. I walk everywhere. I don't drive. And so, I'm like literally always walking. And one thing I do want to do is like get my license. Well, I do have my license. One thing I want to do is get more confident behind the wheel of a car because what I learned in driving school was literally enough to get my license, and that was it. And so, my mom didn't drive. It was only me and her, and I didn't really have any other driving practice outside of driving school. And that was back in high school. So I learned enough to get my license, and that was it. But I just haven't had a ton of practice behind the wheel of a car. Said all that to say I walk a lot. And so walking has been my number one. Like I said, I do nanny. And so keeping up with toddlers is the most intense workout you're going to get. Like, it does not get any more intense than chasing behind a kid who just started walking, like, or crawling, whatever the case may be. But I am pretty active. I do try to stand also as much as possible throughout the day. It really does make a difference. It also helps you to sleep better at night when you're more active during the day. It doesn't have to be an intense workout. You don't have to go to the gym 24/7. You don't have to do all this crazy stuff, but just being on your feet, being as active as possible throughout the day does make a huge difference. I do love weightlifting. I do have weights here in my house, but my schedule is so crazy. Like, I just have not prioritized weightlifting, even though I do love it. It's something I really want to get more into. But for now, walking is my number one. I also have a treadmill. I try my best to walk on my treadmill at least 30 minutes a day. Nothing crazy. I just do around like 4.2 on the treadmill. So it's like a pretty decent speed. But walking as much as possible, standing as much as possible when I am working on like outlining these videos, when I'm working on my podcast outlines, or just doing any like computer work or whatever I might be doing on my laptop in general. I am doing my best to stand up while I do that. I do not have a standing desk, and so on my desk I do have like a home office, and I just put like books and boxes like on my desk and then put my laptop on top of that. So one day I'll get a standing desk. Right now, my little DIY setup for a standing desk is what works for me. And so I don't need to do it, but I don't need to get one, but I do just try to stand as much as possible. And like I said, it does make a big difference, especially if sleep is something that you have been struggling with. Really reevaluate how much activity you're doing during the day and how much energy you're actually burning. You might be burning like a lot of mental energy if you are at work or in school or something, but the physical energy, are you getting a lot of exercise? Are you actually, using the energy like that's in your body that you might need to be using more of in order to get better rest at night? And rest is so important, especially when you're going through grief, because your brain is going through a lot of emotions. And so you have to sleep. And the best way for me to get good sleep has been to be more active during the day. And so exercise has been a huge game changer for me. Number three is eating healthy. I know that exercise and eating healthy pretty much go hand in hand, but eating healthy, like what we put in our bodies, the food that we consume, affects our mood so much more than we think it does. And so, again, this is just like getting up and exercising. The last thing that you might want to do when you're feeling super down, super sad, even if you're feeling depressed, like the last thing you want to do is go eat healthy, eat a vegetable, eat like a piece of fruit. You probably want Cheetos, like you probably want Skittles, like, the comfort snacks that, so many of us like to snack on. And I say us because I love what it was like my go-to is popcorn, which isn't like the most unhealthy snack, but I also love kettle corn, which is a lot of sugar. But oh, I love a donut. Oh my god, you guys, I love a donut and croissants. Almond croissants, especially. And I live in Baltimore. We have some of the best food here. Not some. We have the best food here. Like, when I'm really sad, I just want a chicken box. Okay? If you know, you know. And a half and half. Like, that is a go-to. But I make sure that it's not a go-to. Um, but eating healthy really, really does affect your mood. It affects, like, if you're already feeling bad, it's going to make you feel worse to put bad things into your body. And even though it might feel better in the moment to like have the snacks and the candy and like the unhealthy food, you're just going to be kind of, defeating the purpose in trying to make yourself feel better if you're feeding your body unhealthy food, because it's going to make you feel worse in the long run than make you feel better. For me personally, I do try to stick to as much organic as possible. I know that like healthier options can get more expensive. I shop at Aldi. They have like almost every organic product you can think of, very, very affordable. I also shop on Amazon. They also have like a lot of organic food, snacks, pantry stuff, super affordable on Amazon. So those are like my go to. But yeah, I do try to stick to as organic as possible. Not perfect at it, but I am really grateful if you have like an Aldi in your area. Definitely check that out. If you are on Amazon, if you have Prime, take advantage of all of the organic options on Prime as well. A lot of people say like it doesn't make a difference, but for me it has, and I can tell the difference in my body. I can tell the difference in how I feel, because ingredients are such a huge part of the food that we eat. And so if I can eat something that is a little healthier, has cleaner ingredients, I'm going to do my best to do that. And for me, organic does make a difference. Like I said, I'm not 100% organic by any means, but I will say I am about 90%. Um, so that's that. I do try to stick to high protein, low carb. Like I said, popcorn is my favorite snack in the world. So the majority of my carb comes from popcorn. I'm not even gonna lie. I have popcorn almost every day, which I know is not great. Even though it's not like a super unhealthy snack, like I'm just like a huge believer that like too much of anything is not good for you. So I love me some popcorn though. But yeah, I do try to stick to high protein just because protein keeps me so full. And like I said, I do pretty much work 7 days a week right now. And so I have to like stay satisfied. I got to keep the energy up, chasing behind kids, So I always like am on the go. So I need like super easy stuff. Eggs are the easiest protein for me. When I make eggs, I make like 3 or 4 at a time. Like I don't just do 1 or 2 anymore. When I eat eggs, I'm eating 3 or 4. That's a little hack if you want to get in more protein to stay full longer. I do grass fed ground beef, which is super easy to meal prep. I also do. This is sound funny. I work with kids, and so I'm such a big kid. I literally eat like chicken nuggets, chicken tenders on a regular basis. I do. Purdue has organic chicken tenders. I get those. I really only get those when they're on sale, to be honest. But they are so good. But I just stick to mostly the Purdue brands like of chicken nuggets and chicken tenders because I know that their products are pretty clean for the most part, and so any clean like brand, any clean protein that you can get, I highly recommend. That's pretty much what I stick to. I get my protein eggs, chicken, grass fed beef. Those are like my staples. And then for everything else, when it comes to vegetables, I literally just buy like a huge bag of mixed vegetables and just eat off of that as much as I can until it's gone and I get some more. I do love like broccoli, green beans, sweet potato. I love like most greens, I call it greens and stuff, but like again, I'm super busy and I'm like always doing something. I need quick stuff. And so like the bag of mixed vegetables, just steaming that or putting it in the microwave, super easy. What else is my go-to? Apples, bananas for fruit. Um, like I said, I do like most green vegetables. So also greens powder. I do get Prime Day just passed, and most people go for like electronics on Prime Day. I go for like the organic greens powder, which I will most likely have somewhere on the screen, but most of my products I'm going to try to like keep on the screen or have down below in the description. You guys can also check out a lot of things that I'm eating on. I'm going to start doing like highlights of like food stuff on my Instagram and like the health wellness stuff on my Instagram at Thoughts by Mara. And then there's also always content on my Lemon 8. But yeah, that's pretty much what I do. High protein, low carb. For carbs, I do my go-to is rice. I love rice. Rice is so easy. Um, and again, I try to do organic rice, which is super cheap. Again, it's like $2 for like 32 ounce bag from like Aldi. Amazon has it super cheap as well. Rice, sweet potato, regular potatoes. I love potatoes. Those are like my go-to for carbs. Bananas, good healthy carb, and popcorn. Like popcorn is like the love of my life. I love popcorn for snacks. I love dark chocolate. That is a weakness. I am not like a huge fan of milk chocolate, but I love me some dark chocolate. I'm picky, you guys. Like if you can't tell, like I am pretty picky, but what I like, I love. And so I'm picky and I eat like a 5-year old. So it's like my options are not limited, but like I said, I just like what I like, and what I like, I love, and I just stick to that like genre of food. Um, Honestly, Italian and soul food are my favorite like genres of food. I just don't have them often, but I can throw down. Okay, like I can eat some food. Like if it was up to me, I would be at Olive Garden every day. And again, I live in Baltimore. I would have a chicken box every day if I, didn't care about my health because our food is so good here. We also got the crab cakes, which is my best food, my favorite food, but I can throw down. But I am glad that I am someone who does not mind like eating pretty much the same thing every day. And so it really helps to keep me pretty healthy and pretty consistent. And like I said, I'm just always on the go. So I need quick, easy stuff that I can meal prep. The ground beef is super easy to meal prep. Throwing my chicken tenders in the oven is super easy to meal prep and to eat on the go. Um, the rice, I do like ground beef, rice, and mixed vegetables. That's like a very easy, healthy go to that I have on a regular basis. And then scrambling eggs is super easy protein. And so those are my go-tos for food. Um, I pretty much eat, well, I pretty much drink just tea and water. I love coffee, but it has been giving me headaches. And I drink my coffee black. Like I said, most of what I eat is like a little bit of an acquired taste, or it's just like very plain because I've always been someone who's a picky eater. And so but yeah, I do love coffee, but it has been giving me headaches, and so I have not been drinking coffee, and I drink my coffee black. And I have tried to like use milk. Sometimes it'll like work, like not give me headaches if I add milk or if I water it down or something like that. But for the most part, coffee just gives me headaches. I've tried decaf, I've tried half calf. The coffee just doesn't like me anymore. I don't know what that's about, but I have switched to Tazo organic English breakfast awake tea, and it is so good. It actually gives me more like energy than coffee. Like it really works. I was reading the reviews on Amazon, and it was a review by a nurse. She said she works like 8-hour night shifts. She only needs 1 cup of that Tazo tea, and she is up. And it really does like give you some real energy. So that's something to check out if you are looking for a coffee replacement or a healthier form of caffeine. Um, but yeah, I pretty much just drink tea and water. I love green tea. I love peppermint tea, and just regular water. If I have bottled water, that's fine. Tap water, I don't care. But I do try to stay hydrated as much as possible. I'm also big on electrolytes because sometimes water is not enough, especially like if you need a boost, especially if you are in a grieving situation and you're not like you don't feel like cooking or meal prepping or doing a ton of stuff all the time because your energy might be low. Grief is so draining. Like you got to really conserve the energy and just make the most out of the energy you do have, especially when you're grieving, because it is so heavy, it's so draining. Trust me, I know, I get it. But electrolytes are super good for like extra hydration, extra boost when you need it. I use Orgain electrolytes. It is the Hydro Boost. It comes in little packets. I just pour that in my water and I'm good to go. It like really does like make me feel more hydrated. So if you know you're not getting in as much water every day as you want to get, electrolytes is definitely key. I do that. I also really like Propel. So I like alternate between Propel and Hydro Boost. So yeah, it's just really important to not neglect your health, especially when you are in a dark place or going through something really hard. Like your body does need vitamins and needs nutrients. You have to be, as healthy as you can and do what you can when you're feeling really bad. Because even though, like I said, you want all the like comfort snacks and stuff, your body needs like nutrition, and it's even more important, especially when you're like in a rough place, to give your body the vitamins and nutrients that it needs, because it will help your insides to feel better. Even though, mentally you might be feeling super drained, super down, super exhausted, what you consume is going to affect your mental health, is going to affect how you feel overall. And so make sure you're paying attention to what you are putting in your body as much as possible. Like I said, for drinks, I stick to water, tea. Alcohol is very minimal. I drink maybe like twice a month. When I do, it is tequila. Everyone knows I am a tequila girly. I love tequila. I'll do a margarita, but I don't mind drinking it straight. Like I said, I'm kind of like I'm a mixture between a plain Jane, a 5-year-old, and like a little bit of like a sophisticated taste. Like I don't even know what category I'm in anymore, but that's pretty much my go-to. And like I said, I keep the drinking to a minimal, especially because I know that I'm going through grief, and that is something that I do not want to get hooked on, or you know, not something I want to use to cope. And so I keep the alcohol to a minimum. And number four is learning about people who are going through the same thing that you are, or getting in a community. There are like support groups for grief that you can check out in your area and like see what the options are if you like want a community, like people in person who are going through the same thing that you are. But now online there are so many like Facebook groups and just so many different ways to connect with other people who are going through the same thing. For me, um, it's been helpful for a lot of the content creators that I follow and that I watch, have been going through some of the same things. And Kenzie Elizabeth is someone on YouTube that I love and have always loved. She's like one of my favorite YouTubers. She also lost her brother earlier this year, and so she talks a little bit about that on her channel and her podcast and with through her content. And so it's just been kind of comforting to see people who are also going through the same thing and how they're navigating it. Um, she's also my age, and so it helps, to learn from people, how they're dealing with it. If they are also like in a similar age bracket as you, it just really helps you to know that you're not alone. So surround yourself with people who might be going through the same thing, or at least a similar situation. I do have a very good friend who also lost a parent pretty young, younger than me actually, and we've been able to talk and support each other and stuff. And so I really think that it's helpful to surround yourself, even if it's just one or two people who are in a similar situation, that you guys can kind of like support each other, encourage each other, kind of bounce ideas off of each other, go have some fun, and like just do things that make you feel better and kind of get your mind off of whatever it is that you're going through. It really does help to have some like go-to people for whatever situation you are in. And like also like finding, like I said, people online who you might not know personally, but they can also help you. I talk about her in almost every single video, but Suleika Jawad is incredible. She is a cancer survivor. She has had cancer on and off for a few years. She's a writer. She has a book called Between Two Kingdoms. I'm a broken record with Suad. Um, she is married to John Batiste, and she had cancer a couple years ago. Got diagnosed with leukemia. She was also very young, and I also connect with her because she's also in like a similar age bracket. And the cancer came, like it went to remission, and then it came back and went into remission, and now it's back again. And so her perspective on like life and death, and she's obviously grieving in a much different way, but it's a not a it's a similar situation in the sense that she's had to really contemplate and had a long time to think about what life means to her and what death means to her, and surrendering and having to let go of things that we really can't control and things that are out of our hand. And just finding the beauty in life, and every moment is a gift, and none of us knows how long we have. None of us come here to stay at the end of the day. And she is someone who really really helped me to stay focused on leaning into everything that I love, because it really helps with when you're going through something hard to just give your all and give all of your energy and your attention to things that you love, and to not, focus so much on the bad, or like the grief for anything that might be weighing you down or holding you down. I also really love Bishmi, who I just got to meet. He is a fashion designer from Baltimore. He won Project Runway last season. I was so connected to him while watching his season because he lost his sister right before going on the show. And so he was grieving very heavily on the show. And he was just really open and honest about how his grief was affecting his creative process and how it was very hard. I did just meet him literally last night. He came back home for an event, which was so cool to get to meet him and see him in person. But it's really like helpful. Again, he's also like young, and so it does also help to find other people who are going through a similar situation, find other people who have also lost someone, how they're pushing through. It can really, really motivate and inspire you a lot more than you think, to see other people who are going through the same thing. I hope that I, am helping someone out there who might be going through the same thing. And it really does just help to have some type of community around you, whether it's in person or virtual, knowing people online or people who have written books about a similar situation. Like I said, go check out Suleika's book. If you have not read it, it is called Between Two Kingdoms. Community is also really important because grief can be so isolating. Like I talked about in the beginning of the video, like it can be so easy to just not want to get out of bed. You don't want to talk to anybody. You feel like no one knows what to say. Other people feel like they don't know what to say. It's such a touchy subject. And so it can be so easy to just shut everyone out. And so having people that you can talk to, having people around you who not just understand you, but can connect with you on a deeper level if they've been through the same thing, it really, really does help. Especially, if you are someone who tends to isolate or bottle everything up or keep everything in, please, please, please do not do that. Go find someone to talk to, go find someone who has been through the same thing, a similar thing, and, someone who can help. And you can also help other people, like me getting on here sharing my story, talking about it. Also helps me a lot to know that maybe I am helping or inspiring or motivating or giving some kind of support to at least one other person who is going through the same thing or a similar thing. That being said, number five is having a creative outlet. This has been the biggest game changer for me. Like I said, I already had my podcast. I've had Thoughts by Mara for about 2 years now. And I'm really glad that I had the podcast started before my mom passed. And I'm glad that I didn't stop after she passed because I feel like it's so easy to get stuck when something that devastating happens that you can feel like you don't want to do anything, especially not get on a microphone and share your business. Like that is the last thing that most people want to do. And I'm really proud of myself and really glad that I kept going with the podcast, with creating content, with sharing my story, with being open and honest, like, with my little tiny community about what I was going through and what I'm feeling. And it really does help to have a creative outlet. So whether you paint or draw or write or play sports, whatever it is that you do graphics, make videos, like whatever it is that you have been wanting to do, please go do it. It helps so much to have a creative outlet, to have a creative space. I said it in one of my previous videos, but there's such a connection between art and spirituality. I think because like the Bible tells us that like God is a creator or like and God created it is like one of the first verses in the Bible. And so when you create is such a expression of self, which helps and inspires other people most of the time. And so having a creative outlet has definitely helped me a lot. And not just having a creative outlet, but like I mentioned before, following other creators who um, put out content, who are going through the same thing or going through a similar thing. And I've just always loved art in general. I am a huge art lover. Like, I am an artist at heart. And so, art in every form has always been something that's been super helpful to me, super healing to me, something I've always connected with. Music, fashion, books, photography. Like, I just love anything creative. I love all things art. And so, I'm really glad that I, not just started my podcast, but that I also got into taking pictures a lot more. Like, I'm posting a lot more on Instagram than I used to because I really love pictures and it's something that I'm, leaning into. Like, I've really just been leaning into everything that makes me happy, and photography, being both in front of and behind the camera, like I love. I've always loved taking pictures, and so that's been something that's been super helpful to me. And so any form of creativity, like I said, is like very helpful. It can be uplifting. And it also, like I said, just helps to take your mind off of something. It gives you something to focus on. It gives you something to do, something productive to do. And, that's really easy to, you know, get into. Really, it's something that's really easy to just like pull yourself out of whatever it is you might be going through, get in a different headspace and, go from there. I didn't put this on here, but books, reading, like definitely has helped me so much. This goes along with creativity, but I've always been a bookworm. I've always loved books. I've always loved reading, but I love romance novels in particular, but it can't be like mushy romance. Like, there has to be some drama. It has to be realistic. It got to be a little thrilling. I have been obsessed with Kennedy Ryan lately. She is an incredible author. If you're looking for a black author too, like she is so good. Her like biggest book that's blowing up right now is called Before I Let Go. But I am binging like all of her books. The first book I read by her was her book Reel, Reel. That book is so good. I'm currently reading the Bennett series. I'm on the third book of the Bennett series. She writes in series mostly, and so like I love series books because you don't have to say bye to the characters. Like, does anyone else get like sad when a book ends because like you want to know what keeps happening, especially like when you're reading fiction? I love fiction. There's something so comforting about getting out of your own world, your own space, and like getting into someone else's life. And like, it just takes you out of your own life and makes you not like have to worry about yourself for a minute because you get to get into someone else's head, into their problems, into their, whatever they're going through in the book. And so reading has been a huge, 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 huge coping healthy like coping mechanism for me. So I highly recommend reading fiction. Even if you don't like romance, go find some thriller, go find I don't know, whatever other genres there are. For me, I just love romance so much. So like all other genres to me like are I don't read. So I love a good romance novel. I'm super mushy, you guys. Like I know Nicholas Sparks gets a lot of hate, but read his books. If you only know Nicholas Sparks for his movies, read the books. The book, The Notebook, is so much better than the movie, The Notebook, which I know might be surprising to some people because that is like one of the best movies of all time. But the book, The Notebook, is so good. Like, if you haven't read the book, go read it. Like I said, I'm just a sucker for romance. Number seven is leaning into everything that I love, which I basically have been talking about this whole episode. But I've just been getting to know myself a lot more, like through grief and through this season, and just learning more about what I love and focusing more on what I love because there's been, you know, when you're going through something really hard, it can be so easy to forget that there's still a lot about life that is to be enjoyed. And for me, I had to remember, like, okay, even though my mom's not here and I loved her so much, no one is ever going to replace her. Nothing is ever going to replace her, but there's still so many other things about life that I love. And so I really, really had to lean into those things as much as possible. Like I said, consuming art and getting into creativity and continuing to do my podcast and create content, reading books. I love jazz. I love music in general, but like jazz is my all in all. Again, I love romance, you guys. Like I'm such a romantic at heart, and so I love jazz. I love music. Like I still went to go see Usher. I went to go see John Batiste. I just met Kenny G. I went to Kenny G's book signing again. Books, jazz. That event was made for me. I got to meet him. But just leaning into everything that I love has been super helpful. So just even if like you need to make a physical list of the things that you still love, the people, places and things that still make you happy, write those things down, identify those things so that you have some like go-tos for yourself when you get really sad. You're like, okay, this makes me happy, let me go do this. This makes me happy, let me go do that. Like really have um, like a running list in your head of things that make you automatically happy and bring you joy, because that is something that has been working for me. So just remember what you do like about life, what you do love about life, and things that you are looking forward to as well. Like just keep having things like lined up for yourself that you do love, and even if it's like little things, like I love tea, so I make sure like I keep tea in the house. I love a good mug, so like make sure you have like things in your space that make you really happy. I love candles, and so like little things like that, like find the little things that bring you joy and just make sure that you keep those in your space at all times because you are going to need them. I also love food. We talked about that. I love food. Dark chocolate is something I keep on hand. Popcorn is something I keep on hand. Like, you gotta have the little things in your space and in your life that, make you happy. Kindle, I have Kindle Unlimited, and so I know that I can read books whenever I want to. And most of Kennedy Ryan's books, by the way, are on Kindle Unlimited. So if you have that, you can read her books for free. And it has like been a lifesaver for me this year, especially going through grief. Having Kindle, not sponsored, but having Kindle, I should be. Kindle, hit me up. Like I love like Kindle. I read on my iPad. I don't have a Kindle, but once I saw the price of the Kindle, I was like, I can just get an iPad mini and I can do a lot more on my iPad. So I just have the Kindle app on my iPad, but I do have Kindle Unlimited, which I love so much. So have things that you really, really love. Like I said, for me, it's been books, it's been jazz, it's been candles, it's been my favorite snacks, my favorite foods, like just different things that I really love and want to do. I've been still going to shows. I've still been going to events, and I get asked a lot like how I go to all this stuff or how I know about this stuff. One, I follow the people that I really love and look up to on Instagram. So every event that I've been to, I've found out about on Instagram. And two, I don't really go out and like I don't party. I don't really go out to eat and stuff. So it's like I don't order in much. And so that like extra kind of money is money that I have for like tickets and for events. And a lot of stuff is not as expensive as you think it is. traveling isn't always as expensive as most people think it is, especially like if you know how to like finesse. Like basically, I've learned that Airbnb is so much better and so much more worth it than hotels. And I'm someone I have to have a microwave whenever I stay somewhere. So my new thing is basically doing Airbnb whenever I travel. That's been a game changer for me. That Kenny G like book signing I went to was I don't even think it was $50, and then the book was included, so you were just basically paying for the book. So it's like stuff like that, like it's super cheap. The event I went to where I met Bishmi was free, like it was literally free. So it's like you just gotta go to stuff, put yourself out there. I've also become much more comfortable going places by myself because my mom was my best friend. Like I had a built-in best friend for my entire life, and we were luckily like into the same stuff. She was always down to go with me wherever. I was always down to go with her wherever. Like we were just always doing stuff. And so I am a lot more comfortable now just going places. Like I don't really wait for anyone to go with me because not everyone wants to go, not everyone has the time to go, not everyone is into the same stuff that I'm into. And so especially because I have a very old soul, like I don't know anyone else who would really be like as hype as I was to go see Kenny G. Like, and it wasn't even a show. Like it was literally just him talking about his book. So, you know what I mean? Like even though he is an icon, don't get me wrong, but he's like older, you know, he's like almost 70. So, you know, the stuff I'm into really isn't um the same stuff as people my age, to be honest. And so, you know, I just learned to go places by myself. And, you know, I went to New York to see John Batiste by myself. It's also harder, like making plans with other people and then they cancel and then you're relying on them and it's a whole thing. And it's just easier most of the time to just do it myself. Like it's just so much easier. And I have more freedom when I go places. Like I know I only got to meet John Batiste because I was by myself. Like had I been with someone else, I would have left the show as soon as it ended. We probably wouldn't have stayed. I literally waited like outside of Radio City Music Hall until midnight basically to meet John Batiste. Like, you know, like I'm not gonna expect someone else to do that if I have someone with me. So it's like those little things. And so, yeah, getting comfortable going places by yourself is really important if you want to do more things, but you feel like you don't have other people to go with, other people to do stuff with you. I highly recommend just getting more comfortable going to places by yourself. My favorite restaurant in the world is Carbone. I went there by myself, and you guys, the Carbone in New York does not take one person reservations. I had a reservation for two because I was supposed to have someone else come with me. That person bailed, which again, it's just so much easier for me to do stuff by myself. But I called them. I was like, if the other person can't make it, can I still come? And they said yes. And when I tell you, it was so awkward sitting at like like I can do everything by myself. Going out to eat, going to a restaurant by myself is the one thing that I struggle with. Like it is so hard for me to do, but I did it and it was the best meal I ever had. If those of y'all who are not familiar with Carbone, there are like only five, I think, in the country, and there it's impossible to get a reservation. Drake put it in a song, he made it super famous, but it is such good food. Like the food really is worth the hype. That spicy vodka, I always say rigatini wrong, and I know that's not how you say it, so don't be mad at me for pronouncing that wrong. But it is so good. They have such a good food. I like the one I've been to the one in Vegas and I've been to the one in New York, and I'm not gonna lie, the one in Vegas is better. The one in New York is the original one. That's the one that like I'm pretty sure Drake was rapping about in his song, but the one in Vegas is better. If you guys ever, if you love Italian food, that's the thing about me. I love Italian, and so if you love good, authentic Italian food, go to Carbone or try to get a reservation because it's so hard. Like I said, it's only a couple of them in existence, but just doing things by yourself, leaning in as much as possible to the things that you love, really, really figure out your personality, figure out what you like, what you don't like, so that you have those go to things that you know are going to make you happy, even, sorry guys, even while you are in a place where you feel really sad. I talked a little bit about this, but my next one is journaling. I have always loved writing, and I'm an English major. Writing has always been something that has been therapeutic for me. And so being able to, I process things the best when I can write it. And so I've always been a journaler since like middle school. I started journaling. I remember my first journal was from Disney World. I got like one of the first times I went to Disney World with my mom. I got this like black and white journal. It had little Mickeys on it. And that's when I started journaling and I kept it up ever since. And I have always, always, always been a journaler. I have always needed to write out my feelings. I've processed them the best when I can write it out. And that just has helped me so much. Again, it is so important to not hold everything in. Even if you like don't feel comfortable talking to other people about what you're going through, at least try writing it out. Or you can even like record, either audio or video, like do a video diary or an audio diary. You don't have to ever put it out there, but it just really helps to get it out of your brain. Like it helps to get it out of your brain, it helps to get it out of your system and, just out in the open. No one ever has to see it. No one ever has to watch it or read it or however you choose to document your experience, but it helps so much to get everything out of up here because it's going to drive you crazy if you don't get it out in some kind of way. Or if you do it in an unhealthy way, which a lot of people unfortunately do. Guys, I'm so sorry. There's literally popcorn in my teeth. Or if you, and I'm gonna leave that in there because that's something that I would normally edit out. I'm not gonna edit that out. Um, but it really helps to just get the feelings and whatever it is you're dealing with and trying to process out of your brain like as much as possible. Do brain dumps, do morning pages. If you have not read The Artist Way book, I highly recommend that as well. Julia Cameron, I think that's her name, she like coined the term morning pages. It's when you wake up and you basically do a brain dump of everything on your mind. I think you just write straight for 5 minutes. It doesn't even matter what you write, but you do it every single day. And it helps so many people, especially creatives, to kind of get in the right headspace and like release a lot of like pent up things or emotions that you didn't even know you were feeling. That's basically the same thing as journaling, or at least that's how I journal on a regular basis anyway. And so, highly recommend journaling. This next one might sound weird, you guys, but work has honestly helped me so much through grief. Like I mentioned before, I do work a 9 to 5. I currently work two jobs. I work in customer service and I nanny. And it's just been like super helpful, even more helpful post grief than pre grief to have a job, honestly, because it's given me like a sense of purpose, even though, waking up in the morning and having to go out and function and be productive and be on is not always easy. It has helped to keep me like really productive and give me a sense of purpose and fulfillment, just knowing that there are people who are depending on me and relying on me, and that I'm still useful. Because I think, like I said before, it's so easy to get stuck in your head and to forget, all the good things about life, and to forget that we have things that we are good at and things that, we can do that everybody can't do. And work is one of those. Having a job, having a position, and filling a job title, even though, yes, we can be replaced like easily, maybe not easily, depending on what you do. But it can be like easy while we're in grief or going through anything hard to forget that you have purpose and that there are things that you are good at and that you need to keep doing. People need you. There are people, on your job who need you to show up, need you to keep going, keep pushing, keep being productive. And so work has been really helpful for me. I also just love kids, and so I love babies in particular. I mean, who doesn't love babies? I not gonna lie, I don't like them once they start talking. Like after 3, I'm done. They can go to school, but like I love babies so much, and like they're just so new and innocent and fun, and everything's so new to them. So working with kids, especially going through grief, has been so helpful. And just like I said, getting to see the world through their eyes, and everything is still so new to them. And, they just don't, their emotions are so different than ours because they're so new to life and to the world that, it can be easy for us to lose that like childlike wonder. But for them, like everything is exciting. Everything is brand new. Like they're so easy. Most babies, not all of them, most of them are super easy to smile and to laugh, and they want to have a good time. And so I'm really grateful to like have to work and to still, be able to work and be useful. I'm really glad that, I didn't get like so sad that I couldn't function, that I had to quit my jobs, or, anything like that. If anything, it was the opposite. I work more now because I am super independent now. Like, it is just me. I do not have parents, I don't have siblings, and so it is me, myself, and I. Like, I am taking care of myself 100%. I'm responsible for me, which is a different kind of independence, not having any immediate family. And so I'm really grateful for work in a lot of ways, but especially going through grief, it has given me something to focus on. It's given me more of a sense of purpose to wake up in the morning and to get going and to show up, as my best self, to show up as someone who is still helpful and good at what I do. And it's just been like giving me a sense of purpose. And I'm just really grateful to have work, even though if you overdo it, like, do not make sure that you're not like using work as an excuse to not deal with other stuff, like being a workaholic. I'll work this much because I have to right now. Okay. It is not because I'm a workaholic. I don't have like, I don't have a desire to work as hard as I do for the rest of my life. Okay. Like, at all. I'll work this much because I have to. Best believe. The day that I don't have to, I'm be sleep. Okay? I'm be sleep. Next thing on my list, on the flip side of work being super helpful, is rest. Make sure that you are getting your rest. I talked a little bit about this earlier in the video when I was talking about exercise, but getting a rest is so important because, like I said, when you're going through grief, your brain is holding so much stuff, information, emotions. There's so many different things going on up here that it can be so extremely draining. You have to rest. And like I said, if you are someone who is struggling with rest, I know grief in particular can literally cause insomnia. It can cause us to stay up all night. It can cause us to not be able to sleep at all. But you have to find a way to get good rest. Um, if you need supplements, with a doctor's prescription, of course, get the help that you need if you are struggling to sleep, because your body needs rest. Your body needs sleep. I mentioned this in my last video when I was doing my story time about how I lost my mom, but my mom was not good at rest at all. Like, she was always up, always had to be doing something, always on the go. She took little breaks here and there, but like, as far as real, like, deep sleep, my mom didn't really sleep. Like, she slept a little bit. She napped. I put it like that. She napped. But like, she was just one of those people that was like, just always had to be doing something. And so that really takes a toll on your body. And I know that from experience. I learned that firsthand. Okay. So if you are not getting good sleep, please do everything in your power to make sure that you rest, say no when you need to, call out when you need to. Money is not worth your health. Money is not worth you, being so wired that you can barely function and you're just showing up because you need a check. Like, it's not worth it. If you need to go to sleep, go to sleep. If you need help going to sleep, go talk to a doctor about getting help to go to sleep, because rest is so important, especially when you're grieving, especially when you're going through hard things, because it's so emotionally, physically taxing on the body. Grief is heavy. Grief is so heavy, it is draining. If you are not getting sleep, you're not going to be able to function. You're not going to be able to deal with, life, because life ain't going to stop. That's the main thing I learned about grief. Life don't stop, bills don't stop, people don't stop. You got to keep going. You got to keep going, you got to keep moving, and the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you get some sleep. So, do whatever it is you need to do to go to bed. Also, when it comes to rest, find ways that you can like save your time so that you do have time to rest, because I know that life gets busy, especially if you have a family, if you're in school, if you are working and going to school and have a family, like, whatever your situation is, I know that rest is not always easy. And so find ways to either buy back your time, which is what I do. I don't go to the store for anything ever. I really do not go to the store. I have everything delivered. And I know that, people say that's expensive. I have Dash Pass, and DoorDash tends to have a lot of really good deals. I also have Prime, and things are cheaper, honestly, when I shop on Amazon and when I use Dash Pass than it is when I go in a store. And I also spend less when I order than when I go to the store. Because I'm someone, when I go to the store and I see a ton of stuff that I don't need, I suddenly need everything. And at least when I'm having things ordered, I have that set list in my head. I know the things that I need. I know the things that I want, that I can like let myself splurge on a little bit, not too much. But when I go to the store, it's like the all bets are off. Like I spend so much more when I go in the store than I do when I shop online. And so do what works for you, find what works for you. But not going in a store is the number one thing that saves me so much time. I have everything delivered, everything. I do not go in a store for anything. Like hardly ever. I don't even know the last time I went in the store. Like I'm actually trying to think of the last time I went in the store. I don't go in a store. Maybe like a 7-Eleven to like get some chapstick because I hate when I leave the house without chapstick and then I buy more. So I have 50,000 chapsticks. But yeah, I try not to ever go in a store. So like find ways to buy back your time. I know people who spend 2 hours in a grocery store. What are you doing? What are you doing? And I understand it. You know, some people like going to the store. I used to love going grocery shopping. COVID changed that for me. It changed it for me. I don't go in a store at all. It saves so much time, you guys. And I know, depending on your situation, family, um, sometimes it's easier, you know, whatever. Everybody's situation is different. You have to find what works for you, but do whatever it is that you can do to buy back some of your time, to cut back on some of your time. If you need to tell people no, tell them no. Like I said, I don't go out really. And so that really saves me a lot of time. I work, I come home, I work on my content. I go out maybe like 3 times a month, but my circle is so small that it's like, and people know that I'm busy, and so people are very like, you know, upfront with me about, hey, does this time work for you? Because they know I'm good at saying no. The people in my life know I have no problem saying no. So, you know, I make sure that it's worth it when I go do things, and I do make sure that I spend time with the people that I love. Of course, I make sure that I have time to go to the events that I love and the shows that I love, but I'm just not someone who just like does things just to do them. Like I don't go out to eat just to go out to eat. I try not to, you know, do stuff like that because I know that I want to have my money and I want to have my time for the big stuff, the stuff that I really want to do. And so you know, I just don't do a lot of stuff on a daily basis. But when I do, when I'm out, I'm out. You know, when I do go out, I do it big. You know, so I just really try to make sure that I'm using my time as wisely as I can. Time management. I know it's hard. I know it's, you know, life happens, life gets busy, but do your best to make sure you're getting your rest and that you're spending time on the things that you love. The last thing that really, really helps me has helped me so much through the grieving process is my faith. And I am Christian. I'm not the most religious person in the world by any means. I wear lipstick, I wear hoop earrings, like I listen to all kinds of music. I watch, you know, a lot of different movies. I watch my favorite TV shows. You know, I'm just not the most religious person in the world, but I was raised in church. I do have a really strong, like, spiritual upbringing, spiritual foundation. And grief has been, like, my faith and my relationship with God has been my anchor, has been my rock in this season, especially. I know that when bad things happen, it tends to cause people to stray away from God. But for me, it's made me closer to God. And I just grew up on, you know, the scriptures like for me to live as Christ and to die as gain. I grew up on to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. And so I'm not someone who has like been afraid of death because it's something that's been talked about my entire life just by going to church. I kind of grew up going to funerals. I know that that sounds weird, but the church I grew up in is really big. And so I hate saying it like this, but like someone, it sounds horrible to say like this, but someone was always dying. As bad as that sounds, I grew up going to funerals. And so it was very like normalized to me that life comes to an end. We don't come here to stay, you know, and death is a part of life. And so I have learned that from a very young age. My family actually used to own a funeral home. And so my mom lived in a funeral home. And so like me and death go way back. Like I'm not, you know, we're not strangers, you know? And so I just have a very different relationship, I guess, with death than a lot of people do because it's been normalized for me. Like it's never been something that has been taboo to talk about with me or my mom. It's never been something to be afraid of. And so death is just a part of life. And I think that I've gotten even more comfortable with it, obviously, after experiencing it firsthand and going through it very directly, but my faith has only gotten stronger through all of this. And that's not to say that, I don't have my bad days. That's not to say that I have not questioned God, because I have. And, He gives me so much strength. And I always say this, but believing in God does not mean that bad things won't happen to you. It means that when they do happen, because they will, He will give you the strength to go through them. And so my faith has been my rock, it has been my anchor. I love listening to worship music. I still love going to church. Like I said, I do work pretty much 7 days a week right now. And so I work on Sundays, but I do go to church, when I can, as much as possible. I definitely watch it online all the time. And so I still give to my church. I think giving is very important. And it just keeps me reminded that God is still at the center of my life. I still do my best to put Him first. I pray as much as I can. The Bible says pray without ceasing. I try to do everything, through prayer. I try to pray before any and everything, like even before I record these videos and just before I do everything, because that's just how I was raised. I was raised to have a relationship with Christ. I was raised to, have a strong prayer life and to have a spiritual foundation. So no matter what you believe in, no matter what you're all are welcome here, by the way. Like, what you believe in really doesn't matter to me. I just think that it's so important to have some kind of spiritual foundation, because like I said, when bad things happen, and they will, you need to, have something bigger than you that you can lean on, and something more powerful than you, because we are just human, and nothing makes us realize just how human we are as much as death does. So I hope that you guys got at least one thing out of this video. Those are the 10 things that have really helped me through grief. Um, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and have your notifications turned on. Sorry, you guys, I am exhausted. Please do not forget to have your notifications turned on. If any of these have helped you, please comment them down below. If you guys also have any things that have helped you through grief, please let me know down below so that we can share with each other. I'm looking forward to making more of these videos for you guys. If you have not checked out my first 4 videos, because this is only my 5th YouTube video, if you have not checked out my first 4 YouTube videos, go check those out, and I will talk to you guys in my next one. Bye.